Howdy, folks. I'm Limp Lettuce, lazily letting lying locusts levitate lambs.
I'm Amber.
And here's more word salad for you, or Reddit, or both. I'm not really sure which. Amber's like, that's rude, Brian, calling my tongue twister word salad.
Hey, I gave you 8 things beginning with L today. You always want more, so there you go.
Very good. You did a good job. And folks, we have a live stream coming up later today. For more information, please see the end of the video. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for asking my girlfriend to stop blaming me for her unemployment? I'm a 38-year-old male and I have a girlfriend who's a 29-year-old female who used to work at a tech company as an engineer. She was fired a while back and blames me entirely for it. She got promoted quite rapidly at the company for her age. I think in part because she has a good speaking skills and she was the only woman in the role, so the company used her for a lot of speaking engagements, conferences, etc., and outreach program for women in tech. Since she was technically a principal engineer, she had access to a lot of information about unreleased products. I am very tech savvy myself and I do PC gaming and build my own computers, etc. So I would often talk to her about it and she would tell me stuff and ask me to keep it confidential and not to tell anyone. I admit that I would tell people, initially just close friends, and then ask them not to tell anyone else. But then I came into contact with a well-known tech leaker who would give me crypto for the information. I did this for a long time and nothing ever happened. Her information was usually correct, but sometimes when the company would change plans, the information leaked would not be correct. This person and many others have been leaking things about the company even before I spoke to him, and even now after she left. When she got fired, she was told it was for leaking confidential information, and they acted like they intentionally gave her fake information that was sent only to her. I really do not buy it, as it's not the kind of information a company would spend time faking. I honestly think they just needed an excuse in the current economy, as she was no longer useful for speaking events and was not really contributing as an engineer. I did apologize, even though she was the one who told me in the first place, and she said that she forgave me. But now that she is frustrated with her job search, she keeps bringing it up. She is trying to get engineering rules at the same level, which is hard for an inexperienced person, and she has turned down 2 offers because they were small pop companies who needed the website, and also 2 offers from mid-sized companies, as she claimed that it would be boring. So it isn't like she hasn't had any offers. Honestly, she made so much money at the job that she could retire if we moved out of California. Perhaps even within, as long as we have no kids. Am I the jerk here? Alright folks, what do you think?
Yes, you're a major jerk. Well, sure, technically she probably shouldn't have shared those secrets with you. Lots of people share things with their partners in confidence and expect it not to be leaked. OP's willingness to, put her job on the line for a little bit of profit is despicable.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he paid her every last Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency he had to his girlfriend for doing this, right? And I think that this was a horrible thing to do. I know that OP doesn't think that this was their fault, but in all likelihood, they were trying to figure out who was leaking information, and they would pull something like this, where they would give somebody fake information and see if it leaked, right?
Well, and it has to be elaborate enough to be believable. They can't just throw together, something that's not going to be believable at all to a leaker.
Yeah. So I think that OP betrayed his girlfriend's trust, and I don't even know why she's still with him at this point.
Exactly. I would think she should just get out of this relationship, cut her losses. He's a selfish jerk.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad that she has enough money from her roles that she can retire now if she really wants to. And maybe, she could start her own company if she really doesn't like the options that are around. And it can be really challenging because tech jobs right now, it's hard to find them, and it's hard to find, positions. She may have had a lot of specialized skills for one particular company, and now that she's not there, it's not quite what it was.
Well, if she can't even use them as a reference.
Well, and that's too, right? And maybe she can't use them as a reference because of the whole leaking information here.
Well,
oh, sorry?
You go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I also find it odd how OP keeps talking about her money as their money. Oh yeah, with her money, we could retire if we moved out of California. Maybe even, and it's like, dude, that's her money. You're not married or anything.
Yeah.
He just seems like a mooch, a greedy mooch.
Yeah, I honestly hope she dumps him at a certain point. I think the resentment's going to be pretty high here. So, and plus, like, how can she ever trust him again, right?
Mm-hmm.
She can't. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Sending My Kids Back to the US to Finish Their School? I'm a 54-year-old female, and my kids, a 17-year-old male and a 16-year-old male, came on vacation to Chad, a country in Africa, a year ago, telling them that we will be on vacation, but before school started, I made the decision to stay there because I wanted a better life for myself because I was miserable in the US, but I didn't tell them that. What I did tell them is that they will be staying here, and that this week before school started. Since then, we have been getting into constant fights about the school they have been going to, which they don't like because it didn't offer the same opportunities as the school that they went back to in the US. But I think that it's better for them because it offers the ability to graduate early, but they don't want to graduate early. 2 weeks ago, I got into a fight with the kids when both of them asked for me to go back to the United States for their extracurriculars and advanced classes, and I told them to ask their dad. They told me that he is not the one who decides, I am. After a few minutes of back and forth, I called a relative to pick them up. But what happened today is what really stressed me out, is this argument was worse than the one that we had a few weeks ago. For a few weeks now, I have been doing the renewal of their expired passports so I can send them back to do their school in the US. Today, their passports came back to me, and my kids asked me if they can go back now. I told them that I have changed my mind and that they will not be going back to the US to finish up their school because I have a job here and my life, and that I have asked my cousin to go and she wasn't able to. Both of my kids exploded on me, telling me that I have every reason to drop everything and go back to the US with them, and that their education, happiness, and opportunities are more important than my happiness. I told them that while they may be upset now, they will thank me later when they realize that they have a big family here, lots of cousins that they can build better relationships with here. They told me that I don't care about them at all, and that the only thing I cared about was filling up my delusional dream of the perfect child because I am so obsessed with the idea of them finishing high school here early when they don't want to. And that both of my kids had their important years of school, youngest is a junior while my eldest is a senior, and that I am going to succeed in ruining those years for them because I only cared about myself and my needs. They then called me a jerk for not sending them back and lying to them about sending them back, and they stormed off into the room. This time I didn't call a relative for this. Am I the jerk for changing my mind and not sending them back to the US to finish their school? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, you're a jerk, for a very manipulative jerk. Like, they're almost done with high school. If OP is tired of the US, why not wait it out a couple years until the youngest is in college and then, go back? Like, let them get to be independent, but don't uproot them right at a critical time in their education and, like, cut off their options for the future.
I mean, moving in the senior year, that's got to be really tough,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I feel bad for the kid who's about to graduate here because, like, he probably had a whole social life and all kinds of friends and everything like that. And, I understand why OP would be frustrated and upset with the US and want to move back to Chad here, but they needed to be upfront and honest with their kids about what they were doing and not just, like, bring them there without them knowing.
Mm-hmm. Well, the whole, like, planning it as a vacation, OP probably knows they would put up a fit and maybe find places to stay in the US if she were to have told them the truth.
Yeah.
And that's just so despicable to me that OP wanted to manipulate them and get them stranded here.
Yeah, well, they're 17 and 16, and I believe 17-year-olds and 16-year-olds are able to leave home if they want. I mean, they have to be, in many cases, emancipated, right? But I believe if you're a 16-year-old, you could get emancipation and not live at home anymore. So if OP was really set on moving to Chad, then the 16-year-old could get emancipated along with a 17-year-old, and they could end up either living with friends for the duration or figure something else out, right?
Well, and then you get their hopes up that they're going back, and then like, oh, no, I changed my mind. You can't go back because that would be too much of a hardship for me.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Today I messed up by doing anything that I want with my friend if I won games of Mario Kart against her. My friend and I would enjoy playing video games together, but on several occasions she would want to up the stakes and make things more interesting. Her proposal was that if she won a game of Mario Kart against me, she could do anything she wanted with me, and if I won, I could do anything I wanted with her. Little did she know how good at Mario Kart I was. The first couple of victories were harmless enough. I would win a race, and I would say things like, "You've got to talk like Wario for the next race," or "I get to borrow your DVDs," most of which was wildly amusing and diabolical for me to ask of her. But the thing about it is that I kept winning, and being the dope that I was, I thought that I was on a hot streak getting all this free stuff from her, and I played it up like I was some kind of pompous court gesture gallivanting across the courtyard. Every now and again, she would put the same offer back on the table, and I would keep winning, and she would make her frustrations known the more she kept losing races in Mario Kart. And it didn't help that I would brag about my victories within our circle of friends, celebrating with invisible trophies and spraying imaginary champagne. It wouldn't be until we were older and grown apart that she would disclose to me that she was upset by the whole thing because she would practice playing Mario Kart for hours before racing against me in the hopes of winning. And the reason she wanted to win was because she found me handsome and didn't know how to initiate the attraction that she had to me. The whole time she was hoping that I would ask her for a kiss from her whenever I would win. But me, being the dumb person I am, I kept asking to borrow her Linkin Park albums and to draw buff kittens with sleeve tattoos. So not only did I miss my shot with my friend, I also broke her heart every time I would clinch victory from her on the final lap, performing the miracle last-second overtake maneuver or cackling like a cartoon villain whenever the spiky blue shell of doom would nuke her dreams. All right, folks, what do you think of this?
I mean, I think this is testimony as to why it's best to be direct.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's really the key, right? The question is, like, if she had won, right, what was she expecting to do? Was she expecting to, like, get a kiss out of him or something like that? Or was she just hoping that each time he would, make the proposal or something like that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that this is really an important discussion about boundaries and stuff like that, though. Like, these kinds of bets can't be, like, that open, right? Like,
everyone has their limits and they need to be clearly communicated.
So if she had won, for instance, and then asked OP for a kiss, for instance, then OP should have still been able to refuse. It can't just be like a, blanket, you can do whatever you want type of thing, right? And I mean, the thing is, like, that kind of is frustrating to me in this situation is if she could have just said at some point in time, any point in time, just kiss me or something like that, right? That's all I want from you.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that was a really intimidating prospect.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would ever confess feelings to someone who hadn't, confessed them to me first.
Well, and I mean, that's a difficult situation. I mean, especially with friends and, having a friendship move from being friends to something else, right? And I mean, it's another frustration because I know there are a lot of women who will say things along the lines of, well, I thought this person was my friend up until the point where, they, one day out of the blue, said these things and stuff like that. And so it's really kind of a difficult thing to navigate.
For sure.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for not letting my boyfriend drive my car? So to start, we both drive performance vehicles. Mine more so than his. Well, his died, easy fix though, but expensive due to it being an import. Anyway, we also have a third vehicle together, a normal daily type of vehicle, that he has been driving due to his said car being down at this time. Meanwhile, I've been driving my own. Now I have done my best to give this man everything while expecting nothing in return, never rubbing anything in his face. But since the car stopped working, he claims that he's dead inside and can't be happy unless I give up my vehicle to him in order for him to be happy and have a sense of purpose, which hurt. Now, this is my very first car, purchased with my own money, no help whatsoever, for the very first time. The make and model isn't what makes it special to me, it's the meaning behind it. Anyways, so I've given up multiple things in order for him to be happy. But to me, this is just a no for me. And I would like to think that I have a right because his car dying isn't my fault and he isn't without. This seems petty and stupid, and there's so much more to it than just this. But we all have our breaking points, and though you love your partner, is it okay to say no? It is okay to say no, right? Right? All right, folks, what do you think? Is it okay to say no?
Absolutely. This is a perfectly reasonable thing to say no about. And like the melodrama here, I don't have purpose in my life anymore because I can't drive a fancy car. OP, what are you getting out of this relationship? You say that you repeatedly make sacrifices for his happiness. What kind of sacrifices does he make for you?
Well, I would be interested in knowing that, right? I think that's an important question. Is he doing the same kind of grand gestures to sacrifice for OP? And if not, then why not, right? Is he just taking OP for a ride, so to speak?
That's what it sounds like.
And I feel bad for OP if that is the case, because it sounds like she's very invested in this relationship, and he may not be, returning the same sentiments, right? So, no, OP, you have every right to say no in this situation. You don't have to loan him your car just because he feels dead inside and doesn't have a purpose. That's too bad. That's how life is. What happens if, he has to sell his car or his car gets wrecked or something like that, right? And then I think that this is a very reasonable boundary. I just can only see it getting worse and more like, oh, I have to drive your car now for one reason or another type of thing.
Well, and like think of all the people who need vehicles and don't have them. Like, oh, he has a perfectly functional car, but since it's not, fancy enough, like the privilege here, the audacity of this man.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and I'm going to say that it's not any of the teas on the list. And Amber has a joke.
It's going to be a rotten vacation when the bird that chased you across the campsite turns out to be a mosquito.
That would be a bad time. It would be prehistorically a bad time. And I actually have that chocolate tea today, so I decided to end up going with chocolate tea. So it's a special guest tea. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Fantastic Friday, folks. As you can see, we have a live stream coming up later today. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on withholding information from people.
Make sure that if someone needs to make a decision, they have all the pertinent information, whether that's about moving to a new country or prizes in a Mario Kart game.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
Or later today.
Bye.